Welcome to another episode, Kate. Thank you for sitting down with me. Today's topic is, growth as a designer. Now, before you introduce yourself, there's something that is a tradition. I don't tell my guests. They just find out. It's like, you just find out.
Okay.
And it's a quiz. You have the whole period of the podcast to find the answer in your brain. You're not searching Google. No cheating.
Wonderful. How will you know if I search Google or not? Yeah, I'll carry you handicap.
Use your mind, use your church mind, use your conscience to answer the question. And if you get the question wrong, or if you get the question right, you get a match. It's a free match. You're in Lagos, Abi?
Oh, yes, I'm in Lagos.
You get a free match. It's a design match.
Oh, nice.
With that being said, so the quiz is what? No, press your phone. No, anybody there should not also tell you.
I'm not pressing my phone. There's somebody here, yes. So don't worry, I'm not pressing my phone.
Okay.
I'm using my church mind. If I fail it, I fail it, but I won't fail it because I'm smart. Some of us are wise.
Yeah.
So go on.
I believe you. So what is the full meaning of the format PNG? Nobody is telling you. Nobody should tell you. Think.
Something.
No. You don't have to say the answer.
Okay, I'm not supposed to answer. Okay.
Take your time. You answer at the end of the show. So, yeah.
All right.
So now let's get into the discussion of the day, right? And before then, I would like you to introduce yourself and give me like a brief history about your design journey, like you becoming a designer, all that small gist in between.
Oh my God. All right, sure. Okay, so my name is Kate Enefo. Some of you can pronounce Enefo, so I'm going to pronounce it again. Enefo. But you might know me on Twitter as Design Mistress. I actually transitioned from being a social media manager to product design. I used to work at a retail company in Lagos. They are closed down now, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate, but it's hard doing business in Nigeria. So it was a food retail company, and I was the social media manager there. And at some point before then, I used to work at a design agency. It was actually a digital marketing agency. Based on my role, I was an admin there. I had to interface with brand designers, illustrators, and whatnot. So I noticed I had an interest in design at the time, but the tools they were using was a bit complex. So it discouraged me from trying to learn design, the likes of Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator. It was just looking so complex. I was like, you know what, let me focus on the one I already know, right? Admin and all that. So I moved to the next job, which was this retail job. And while I was being a social media manager there, I was like, let me try this design thing, right? So I downloaded Canva. I was playing around with their templates and whatnot. I liked it, right? And so there's this friend of mine.
Sorry to interrupt. What year was it?
No, that's fine. This was last year.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
So I downloaded Canva. I was just playing around with it. Then when I noticed, I don't mind pursuing a career in this, I reached out to a friend of mine that is a product designer, and I told him, I want to learn. How can I learn? So he sent me resources. I also started checking out YouTube, and then I kept practicing. And the thing about design is, if you do not have guidance, you can be learning a lot and learning for a long time, but you might be learning the wrong way. So that was what happened to me in that period. I was just learning a lot, but I wasn't learning the right way. So until I met Pixeldan, and he now started guiding my learning. He told me I should focus on learning design principles first, just those basic things, and then build up from there. And so I did that. And then when he saw that, okay, I've grown a long way, I've grown a bit, in my learnings, he encouraged me to put out a case study. And so I did a case study on one mobile app, motorcycle e-hailing experience, right? I think it didn't go viral, but it wasn't a bad case study. A lot of people reached out to me, they liked it. It's been an inspiration to people as well. They've used it for their own case study, to write their own case studies and so on. And so that was the case study too that also got me my current job. because I used bare hands to apply. And so I am eventually, officially a product designer. Before I was in the learning stage, and now, yeah, I am. So that's my journey. It wasn't easy. There were times where I was depressed. I was like, I beg, this design thing is not for me. Why is it just me? I've not gotten a job. I see people I started learning with, they've gotten jobs. So those kind of things got to me at some point. But I think it's the passion for design that just kept me in it. That's how far, that's the journey so far.
That's cool. Like I resonate with that 100%, where you see people that you did a certain boot camp with, or you were both sharing resources. They're like
Exactly.
working, and you're like,
you're like, what are they doing? Come for me. So it was depressing. And I think that's the bad thing about comparing your journey with others, right? Everybody's on a different journey. So I feel like people should try as much as possible not to compare their journey. Just focus on the grand prize. Just set your eyes on the goal. You're going to be delay is not denial. One day it's your own click. So that's what I try to tell people as much. Don't compare your journey to people. I mean, it will do you no good in any way.
Yeah, but I have a clause to comparing yourself with people, right? And I'll get there. So now, before we move on, now how can you define your growth? From like, how can you define what growth is, right? And what it is? We're not doing adverts for Avanti, so if this part
is Aquafina, please. You don't know whether it's from your podcast. I will bang what do you call it? Ambassadorship. Please don't hinder my
hey, if I add this part, you better be sponsoring this video.
Sorry, sir. I won't do it.
So how can you define growth for designers? Like, for devs, they have a way of like putting this metric. If they finish CS50 course, if they do a certain thing, PMs, I don't know. But then for designers right now, how can you define what growth is for you, since you've been through this phase of like trying to learn and find a job? What do you think?
Okay. Okay. For me, right, I would like to like define growth in stages, like as with anything in life, right? There are stages. There are stages that you would encounter throughout your like design career. I would like to group these stages like into 4. So there's the understand stage, there's the execution stage, there is the lead stage, and there is the envision stage. So I'll just like break down the stages. But before I go on, right, I like to say that growth is a non-linear process, right? There's no straight road to growth. You can grow like this, you can grow like this. So like it's a very non-linear process, and I just like want people to like have that at the back of their mind, right? So for the understand stage, every newbie goes through the understand stage. Tell me if I'm cracking or if my video is pausing, because this internet can be crazy.
Yeah, it's cracking.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you, but it's cracking. Okay. Are you using a Mac right now?
No, I'm using a HP. It's shading. Oh God.
No.
I don't think it's the Mac. Or it has anything to do with like the type of laptop. I think it's the internet itself.
No, I was going somewhere else.
Yeah, please land before I feel I cry on this podcast.
But it's fine. There's no wahala.
But it's fine. So why did I stop before the network started interrupting?
So you were talking. Me too. I've lost the train. Okay, you're talking about understand stage, about how every newbie is at the understand stage.
Yeah, so like everyone is at the understand stage because everybody starts there basically, right? So this is the stage where if you are transitioning or you are just coming into product design field, you are trying to like understand the field, you're trying to understand processes. If you are freelancing, you've not even started freelancing because you're still in the understand stage. So you are trying to like understand how freelancing works. You're trying to understand how working with clients is. You're trying to like understand things basically. That's the first stage, right? Then the next stage is the execution stage, which I am currently at. Is the stage where you've learned enough to start, building your portfolio, working on multiple diverse projects, and just executing and delivering as much as possible, right? Then after that stage, I believe is the lead stage. I don't know if everyone gets to this stage because some people are freelancing while some people are working 9 to 5. But if you are working 9 to 5, so there's this lead stage where you're not designing as much. What you're focusing on is managing your team, managing processes, basically just like leading a group of designers to achieve the outcome or the business objective, right? So it's more of like a leadership position. You're leaning more into leadership and you're like just leading teams, right? So I believe that's the next stage after execution. And the final stage is like, so you've grown a lot in your career and you're at this stage where you're now more concerned about the product vision. So you're like leaning more into strategy and the growth of the product. You're like, having meetings and you are sharing the thoughts and hopes of the product owners, the CEOs and whatnot. So you might not be designing as much at that stage, but because of your experience and what you now bring to the table, and that's how I would define the stages in the design career overall. Because everything, if you think about it, it all comes to play somewhat. So I might start in this company as an intern. I'm at an understanding stage. I'm trying to understand the company. I'm trying to understand the product, how to design it. With time, maybe 6 months down the line, I'm already, at the execution stage where I am now taking on more feature requests or designing as much as possible on the product, in even contributing to things that can improve the product, those kind of things. So yeah, that's the way I would define growth. So wherever you are, if you think, if you relate to some of the stages I've mentioned, then you can be able to like gauge your growth. For me, I am not at the lead stage. I cannot lead a team yet. So I'm still at the executional stage. So yeah, that's how I define it.
Okay, so now let's get to something that was trending this week on Twitter. And for people viewing, the tweet is up. Now, someone mentioned, right, not in exactly quotes, but in the context of if you take 2 to 3 months to finish a Google UX course.
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw that tweet.
Yeah. And, if you take 2 to 3 months to finish a Google UX course, you've not learned anything. Well, let's not talk about who said or what happened. Now I'm asking you, what is your opinion? Do you think that affects like the time someone takes to learn a certain or complete a certain bootcamp, right? Affects their growth negatively or positively?
I don't think it does. I'll give you a reason. Well, for me, I can only give reasons based on my experiences, right? I did not finish any course.
Yeah.
I did not finish any course.
Yeah.
I did not finish.
Yes. See, we have more in common than we know.
Google
yes.
UX.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me see. I went to Google UX course. I think I stopped in course 3. They have like 7 courses. I didn't finish it. I registered. I have like 4 outstanding Udemy courses that I haven't finished as well. So this thing, like I said, no two journeys are alike, right? People learn in different ways. Somebody might learn from YouTube only and be better than somebody that took 6 years in bootcamp. It's just the learning journey is unique to individuals. So people know their strengths, people know how they learn, and if they follow it, anything that works for them, right? It's just what it is, because there's no rule book to how you learn. Some people went to school for this thing. Did we go to school? Some of us some of us studied mathematics and we came out and we are designing. So there's no defined path or the defined path to success. So I don't like when people just come out and say, oh, you're not learning, you haven't learned anything if you don't learn in this amount of time. It doesn't make any sense. So I would just say people learn the way you can learn, basically, right? Don't allow external opinions to affect you. It doesn't, for me, it's I saw that tweet. I let me not go into details, but yeah, I
saw your comments on the tweet as well.
So for people, me, I'm a big troll.
For people watching, if you want to find out what happened, I'll leave a thread in the description. However, by the time you see this video, it would have been probably weeks past when the whole thing was trending. But then my own thoughts towards that tweet was like, or towards the comments, not the tweet, was that it doesn't matter how long someone takes to like learn a concept. If they understand it and like they can execute it, they are good to go. People go to fight war. Like if you take it, people go to fight war. And it just takes like 1 or 2 days. They teach them how to learn gun, or a week, they carry gun and they're going to fight. Like the determination to learn how to shoot. People in Ukraine who told some of them that they carry gun, well, they're carrying gun and they are fighting for their life. It's a funny thing, but yeah, God be with them. But now, people in Nigeria here, I think in Nigeria, we have a slope of people learning faster. Like the learning curve is going like, is it up or down? I don't know. But people learn faster in Nigeria than they would learn any other thing, especially when it has to do with something bringing them value, like money.
Exactly. Yeah.
And design is one thing that does that. So definitely people will take shorter time to complete. And if that person has another job that is bringing them money, they will take a longer time to complete that same particular thing. Because,
Yeah.
they are trying to, okay, make I not lose both ways. I want balance and
Yeah.
Nigerian thing. And
And I think that's the
that's
reality for a lot of people learning as well, because some people already have jobs, but they just want to switch. So it's going to take a longer time for them to learn. While some people, they have nothing doing, maybe the people affected by ASU strike, so they might learn in a shorter time. So there's no definitive way to learn, right? So I agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm getting to the question about higher pay and the value of like how, higher pay or lesser pay determines how, I like what. Is higher pay a valuable metric for growth measurement? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the question I'm getting to. So what's your take on that?
Okay.
Is higher pay a valuable metric for growth measurements?
So this is very tricky to answer, and I'll tell you why, right? So for me, the answer is a yes and a no, right? Because it's a popular notion that when your value goes up, your money goes up as well, right?
Yeah.
I am not disputing this at all. In fact, I believe it's true. Like it's true to a large extent, but unfortunately, in life, sorry, I'm about to sound very motivational. In life, not everybody is dealt. Everybody is dealt with a fair game, right? Sometimes a higher pay is subjective. It's subjective to whatever region you find yourself working in, right? It's no news that some design talents in Nigeria are undercompensated purely based on their location, right? Forget all this dollar talk we're always having on Twitter, $15,000. I'm not shading anybody, please. I come to this.
Okay.
But the truth is, nobody wants to carry that. So everybody, would say they are earning this and earning that. But the truth is, there are some design talents I know that are undercompensated, and we cannot shy away from that fact, right? There are cases where a designer is like evidently good, he has paid his dues, he knows his onions, and he has even probably gotten to the lead role or lead design stage, in his company or whatever. But you cannot compare what he's earning in Nigeria to somebody that is probably even an entry-level designer in California. There's a large gap.
Yeah.
So it's subjective. So sometimes if you use higher pay, while it is a metric, like I said, I'm not disputing the fact that it's a metric, but if you use it to gauge your growth, you might be discouraged if you compare it to what someone else that might not know as much as you is earning. So like I said, it's tricky to answer. It's very tricky, but that's my take on it. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's the thing. I think here in Nigeria, we have a lot of people that are good, but the location does not allow them to
it doesn't
get that value in terms of money for their work. And we have a lot of people that are not so good in terms of the quality of their designs are not great, even here in Nigeria, but they get paid well, right? They get paid almost the same thing with someone that is a lead designer somewhere else. Now, if you have those two people, right, without knowing the quality of their design, if they tell you, oh, I earn X amount and I earn X amount, who would you at the back of your head think is better?
I would think it's the person anymore. I'm not going to lie. I would think it's the person anymore. But like I said, that's why it's tricky, because we all just have this mindset that, oh, you are being paid more, so definitely you are bringing more value to the table. But it's not always the case, like you said. So
what about looking at your old designs? Like if you go back to designs we were doing last year and you look at it now, can there also be a metric for growth?
It's definitely a metric. It's definitely a metric because, well,
why?
It means you are getting better. I mean, if you can look at your previous design and not just say, oh, this looks ugly, without having a way you think you can improve it. Because some people will just look at their design like, is it me that design this thing? Oh yeah, okay, what would you make better? They cannot say it. So, if you look at your previous design and you see something that can be improved and you know how you can improve it, it means you learned some things over time that you didn't know at the time when you designed that design. So yeah, it's definitely a marker for growth, if you ask me.
What other metrics do you have in mind? What have you seen that people can measure their growth?
I think another one is for you to be able to like articulate your design decisions, right? Because at the beginning stage, you are just designing based on inspiration. You look at other people design and you say, oh, I want to design something similar. Maybe you look at a couple food app designs and you're like, oh, I want to design a food app design. So you just design a food app design. You don't really know why you are using some elements you use in that design. But if you've gotten to the stage where you can properly articulate every design decision you take while designing, I think it means like you've grown to a large extent, because then you can be able to talk to stakeholders and like convince them and say, oh, this is the rationale for this. This is why we should use this instead of this. It's definitely like a marker for growth, yeah, if you ask me.
Yeah. So you mentioned just now, being able to articulate your design is one thing. Like being able to identify why an icon is 24 pixels, why an icon is 16, why you think like a line should be blacker or darker than the other ones.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? So now, coupled all of that together, arranging it now, being able to articulate your designs, being able to, see that, yeah, I know how to fix this my old design, and I know how, to make it work better. Looking at it like after a long time. Now, does that make it enough for you to believe, yes, I can apply for a job now? Does that help people think that, you know what, I can do this right now, then I can apply for a job? Or when is the best time to know that you can apply for a job?
Well, for me, right, I like to talk based on my experience. I'm just going to like give you my experience here.
Yeah.
I was stuck in the tutorial hell for as long as I can remember. I just felt I had not learned enough to apply for a job. I just felt I was unworthy of a job at the time. Like, I mean, I needed to know a lot of things. I needed, no, now I need to know more. So I was just, it was horrible, because it was also one of the things that made me depressed, because I just kept feeling like I did not know enough to apply for a job. So I don't think I'm in the best position to like tell anybody when they should apply for a job, because for me, what made me even apply for a job was external motivation. One of my mentors was like, oh, you put out a case study, your case study is good, you have a fair understanding of product thinking, and your UI design is great.
Yeah.
I think you can apply for a job. So that was the external motivation I needed to like start sending portfolios and CVs and whatnot, applying for a job. So I don't know if, it might be different for different people, but I think if, like I said, like my mentor said, actually, if you have gotten to the stage where, you can sit down and be honest with yourself that, okay, you've improved in your product thinking, your design is also not bad. You're no longer designing like a newbie and using elements where it is not needed. I think it's enough knowledge for an entry level position. You would definitely grow on the job. It's certain things you don't know as a newbie, you get to know on the job. So yeah, just if you can put out a case study after evaluating your strengths, you can start applying for a job. You don't have to put out 3. It was one of the things that discouraged me. Some people were like, you need to have like 3 case study in your portfolio before you start applying for a job. 1 is fine, as long as you did that one well. It's not copy and paste. You don't know why you did the case study. You just join. I'm sorry if I'm shading anybody, but it's the truth. You don't just go and join screens and put it on presentation and say, oh, you've done a case study. Be sure you understand. You went through the design process. You can define your own design process, and you are ready to apply for a job. Don't be your own limits, right? Just take that decision. You'll be very surprised.
Like for me, right, my answer I would give to that question is, if you can do the job by yourself again, if you can design a full applications. I always tell people who reach out that, Drones, let me check this out. And I'm like, design a full app. Design an app beginning to end. If you can design it, if you can see how your design works, right? You can see it. If I ask you questions and you can answer why you made some decisions, yes, shoot your shots. You
Yeah.
can definitely get hired. Somebody would want to work with you because now you can, grow. You can build from there. That's how I would answer that question, because it was not easy getting my job. I was volunteering for this company, and it got to a point where it was the CEO of the company that now said, "You know what, David? I think you do a good job, and it's time to start paying you for your service, right?" And that was when I like, oh shit, I finished actually. That tutorial hell has to like reduce, and I have to calm down.
It's a real thing, man. That tutorial hell. Get out of it now. Don't let it take you alive.
So far, do you think you've known enough? Do you think you've learned enough that can make you slow down? Like,
Slow down. Well, I don't think anybody ever learns enough in this industry. I mean, in this space that we find ourselves, especially because imposter syndrome is a real thing. You consistently feel like if funny, you feel undeserving, right? So imposter syndrome, oh Jesus, my English, imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome are being synonymous with not knowing enough. It's a real thing. So for me, the trick I do, or like how I try not to dwell on it, is you just bury imposter syndrome and not knowing enough with good work. Bury it with good work, bury it with appraisal from your clients and employers, bury it with more personal development, bury it with more good work, because it never really goes away. Unfortunately, as creatives, it's always going to be there. And also, based on how large the industry we find ourselves in, you might think, okay, you know everything in fintech industry. You've designed for a couple fintech apps, a couple fintech companies, so you know enough. A job might come for, let's say, what other industry is there? Let's say agriculture, and you know nothing. You actually don't know anything. So what are you going to do at that point? So it's just more personal development. Try your best, do good work, bury it with clients. Will definitely appraise you if they see that you're trying your best and you're doing good work. So that's how I try not to dwell on it, because if you decide to just, I don't know enough, it's a rabbit hole. It's a very dark rabbit hole from there. Just do good work. Just do good work, basically.
so now this is the thing. Imposter syndrome. Is it you sabi or you know just sabi? Which one? Now let's answer that question well. Let's know, because I have, and for people listening, but okay, they just took my rights, so I'm trying to honor that
Okay.
rights. So now, for people watching or listening, I have another podcast that I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome in topic of you sabi abi you know sabi. But now I'm asking you, kids, is it you sabi or you know just sabi through? Which one?
If you ask me, you sabi you they try, but I mean sometimes sabi too. And it's not a bad it's not a bad thing.
I think it's the fact that you know just sabi, but you want to prove that you sabi, so you put in the work. But if it comes if it comes from where I'm tasked with, hey, we need to design this thing, I'm like, oh more, is this thing good enough? Like now, I've not put out any design in a long time. Personally, like in months, I've not put out designs
Me
of my own
too.
self.
We are very similar. Good job.
And anytime I go to Figma and I'm not doing work or I'm not doing YouTube, and I'm like, okay, let me design something. I'm like, shit. What will people now say? What if I design shit? No, that thing just comes. I'm like, let me just do work. Let me just do work instead. So I think I know Sabi. I'm trying to Sabi. So
but you are trying to, yeah. All right, makes sense. I agree too.
what is one way that you've seen designers grown backwards? You mentioned earlier that you could be learning and growing, but you could be growing the opposite way, and you do not know. You cannot know except someone tells you, right? So one way have you
I
seen?
mentioned that.
Yeah, you did.
That's fine. I did drop wisdom. I don't even know. Okay,
And
so
that's when
I
you
think
mentioned your mentor Sudan, but that was around the line when you mentioned
yeah.
Sudan. Yeah, so go on the question.
Okay. I think For me, right? Not for me personally. I don't want to accept that I'm growing backward. But what I think is the major culprit. Is it culprit or corporate? Correct me,
Anyone.
please.
Use pigeon.
I think
Don't just use pigeon. Anyone.
I think the major culprit is like getting comfortable, right? And this is like I'm speaking to people that are already designing for clients or already have jobs. If you get comfortable and you get comfortable that you're earning well now, you can relax and you say you've tried and you've done your own, you've learn, you've gotten to the point where let's just chill. Learning can come later, and you just stop learning because the industry is not going to wait for you. It's still evolving, it's still growing. Other people are also learning as well and evolving. You might find yourself staying stagnant, or when you come back to something, you don't have current knowledge on that thing, so you're possibly also going backwards. So I think is that getting comfortable thing that is the problem that might cause you to like stay stagnant. I don't know if going backward is possible, but staying stagnant is what I would say it is.
I personally believe in going backwards. I think if we stop doing something, we start forgetting it. And we're not stagnant. Our value for that thing is reducing because the thing itself keeps going up. If doctors stop practicing to be doctors, the industry will advance and leave them. So definitely them going backward.
Yeah,
in terms of
backwards.
Yeah, they start forgetting. That's how I define mine, Sha. So now, how would you start your career again? Now, in the concept of we've talked about a lot, going backwards, not staying stagnant. I'm talking about being able to articulate your thoughts, not being stuck in tutorial hell. How would you start your career again?
How do you know how to start? Why you? Okay, so I think having a structure. If I say this, right, it makes me a hypocrite because I did not finish Google UX design course, and that was like one of the most structured ways to have learned design. At least aside going to a design school, a design academy, that's a very structured. I feel like Google finished work on that course, and I did not finish it. So if I come back to say, well, it's not being a hypocrite. It's me learning my lessons, right? Yes. So I feel like I would have loved to start my career. If I would start my career in a certain way, I would follow a structured way to learn and not just like learn randomly, like, oh, okay, today I want to learn typography, I'll come and learn typography. Tomorrow, what is UX research? I'll now go and learn UX research. So I feel like that having that structured learning path would have helped me. Like some of the mistakes I made could have been avoided. I probably have even started my career earlier. Maybe it wouldn't have been this year or that kind of thing. So yeah, just that's the way I would have started my career a different way if I have the choice to. But aside that, Googling and YouTubing is not a bad thing. So it has brought me to where I am, and yeah.
Okay, so
my point is there's no right or wrong way to start your design career. So, but if you can, or for me, it would be just having that structured learning pathway.
okay, that's fine. For people who want to hear my
What about
take,
you?
I would pause and I will make a separate video. Why? Because I want you to watch that video. Why? Because I want to have views on that video. So if you like this content, by the way, just kindly subscribe to the channel, like this video, and when I release that video, you can get to watch it. My take is that if I will start again, David, what would you do differently? I didn't think about this part, but I will not push to look for a mentor. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I've read books about learning from people from afar, and that would help me. I think that's the thing I would do is I would learn the fundamentals, like the main cocoa about what it is to actually design and solving problems. Basically, how to use French principles to think of solutions, how the fundamentals of design play, color theory, text, layout, before pushing to find work or before pushing to start earning from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah, the one I'm supposed to be asking this question. You have so much nuggets to drop.
no. Please. So now, what is your thought about the most biggest controversial misconception in growing in this space in Nigeria, specific to Nigeria?
Okay, I think one of the biggest, I also had this big misconception, is that tech is a get rich scheme. It's not. Oh, happy for you. So the biggest misconception, the number one, is that you get into design today, and oh God, I don't want to fight on this podcast, but see, one of the perpetrators of this misconception is design academies in Nigeria. They will tell you, learn design in 3 months and you get a job after
exactly.
you are done. It's a lie. Don't. Well, see, you will find out your own way. But the truth is, tech is not a get-rich scheme, right? I mean, it takes time. Things take time normally. It takes time for you to learn. It takes time for you to, understand how you work. It takes time for you to get a job. Dead that thought that you're going to get. You might be one of the rarest unicorns. Like if you are that good, you might get a job in 3 months' time after you pick up product design as your career. Fine and good. I'm so happy for you if that happens. But in scenarios where that doesn't happen, just know it's a normal thing, right? I didn't get my first job until June. I was freelancing, of course, but like an official 9 to 5 in design. Like I'm part of a company that is doing things.
Yeah.
It was June this year, and I've been learning since like last year, October. I could have run away myself because the conception I had was once I start design, once I put out a few screens, clients to start running into my DMs. It's a lie. You are doing the best you can. So don't let that conception fool you. That's one of it. I think the second one is that popularity on Twitter equals badass.
No, you had to bring this. You had to bring this here. Man.
It's self-serve too. It's self-serve, please. I'm not serving anybody. It's self-serve because people just feel like you have 25K followers, you have 122K followers, you are a badass. Your design must be top notch. It's a lie. Sometimes it's just you are very funny on the TL. It has nothing to do with your skill. So don't let that thing. There are also many people that they just have 19 followers. Like just see their designs, you'll be amazed. So popularity doesn't equal to your skill or how good you are. So don't let that fool you. Don't now start running into the DMs of popular people thinking they are your mentors because they have been in the game. They've been on Twitter for a long time, so they can mentor you. It's not always the case. I think it's a big misconception.
I agree. Like my own biggest misconception is this first one, the first one you mentioned about money. I've had DMs or not even DMs, people physically meeting me in school. I'm still a student, by the way. I'm finishing this year. And they meet me and be like, hey, Drews, how far? I just say, now you the born now, now you the jai. I'm like, waiting up. I'm like, God shows me now. Which way? Like, I want to learn design. If I just learn design, I put hand, I do trading, I will do crypto. I can't add UI UX, make I the cash out anyone will come out. My mind like
exactly.
It's not side gig, like it's a career. Like people do this thing for 20 years, 10 years.
Career.
It's a full career. Like just like you did school, they learn engineering because I'm an engineering student. Like you did school, they learn engineering. 4 years, you see this school. That's exactly, you don't even get job.
And you're not earning anything. Exactly how it is.
Your hope is that you get job after 4 years of learning. That's how it is in design. You hope that you get a job. If you don't get the job, I know it's not anybody's fault, but still, to me, that's my number one biggest misconception. And secondly, is that I think a lot of people confuse what mentorship is, and they think mentorship is the fastest ladder to the top, right? Now, it is interesting because you have a mentor that has, I feel that impact has been very helpful, right? On the other hand,
yeah, it has.
I didn't get to have the opportunity of a mentor, and I started to learn from people outside. I started to learn from people from afar because I was forced to. And I think a lot of people are always reaching out to big designers or senior designers that are like, be my mentor, do this, teach me this, do all of that. And for me, it's like, it's not the fastest way. It's a way to the top, yes. It's not the fastest way to the top. And it's not even the surest way to the top. It's a way, and it should not be, that everybody must have a mentor. If somebody takes interest in you, fine. If they don't, let that fine, or you give up after.
Find your square roots.
Yeah. So this the last thing. It's fun. It's fun. Now, what's your last
Yeah,
word?
the fun speaking. Yeah.
What's your last word for designers?
What's my last?
Trying to define what growth
Ah,
is, like what they want to achieve. Like focusing on Nigerian people, what's your last? What's the what? No, wait,
yeah.
sorry. I say last words. It's not your last words in Jesus' name. What's
Amen. No, I was going to say it there, but
so? What do you have to say to like designers out there trying to define, where they are right now, what they want to achieve, looking at our old Nigerian tech space? What would you say to tell them to like, okay, this is what you should do. This is your own thoughts on what could make them better.
I think I'm just going to like give a very generic advice, right? And this advice, it was from Steve Jobs himself. May his soul rest in peace. He said, stay hungry, stay foolish, right? And what this means is like, just generally keep your motivation high, right? Don't stop learning new things. Give it your all. Stay patient with the outcomes. Don't be rushing to where I don't know you are rushing to, and don't just worry about the rest. So once you do these things, like you keep your motivation high, you give your best, you keep learning new things, you put yourself out there. Don't worry about the rest. It will eventually work out, right? So that's the only thing I would like to say on that matter. I can't give you very definitive steps like, okay, do this, do that, because it might work for this person, it might not work for the next person. So just take my word as it.
Nice. Thank you, Sensei. Thank you.
How about you? Give me advice. Let me take home with me.
For me, is ego is the enemy, and that's a reference to a book. Ego is the enemy by Ryan Holiday.
Yeah.
Ego is our biggest enemy, and for every designer learning, you get to the stage where you've learned or you started learning, you think you know how to draw a line, you think you know how to use Figma. It's at that point that your ego comes for you. It's at that point where you think you can not want to help somebody, want to take all the jobs that you see come your way, not want to share your portfolio. It's all ego that is trying to like bring you down. Ego is the enemy, basically. And for people to understand that better, if anybody's listening or watching, they should read the book by Ryan Holiday. That's what I'll say. For Nigerians out there, I think ego is a very big factor to why the design space in Nigeria has so many gatekeeping and toxic things going up and down. Ego is basically the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for me,
Thank you so much. That was insightful. Yeah. I need to read that book. I have it in my library. I've not read it.
You should. That book
I need to start learning again. I'm stuck in that getting comfortable stage I spoke about. I need to go back to learning. But yeah, it was very insightful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. So for the listeners and the viewers, we've come to the end of the podcast. And Kate, thank you for sitting with me to have this awesome discussion.
Thank you for having me. It was so interested to speak with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wish you the rest of your day should be fine. I'll reach out to you and also give you, samples of the swag to choose your size.
Okay, choose.
I changed them on my channel to not just design because there are other thoughts around it. But then you subscribe to it. It's not just design.
I will.
Have a nice day, kid.
Nice. Bye.